put like an apple on the head and throw it?
Well, if you want me to do that to you.
To you.
You can.
You're that good to do something like that?
Well, this weekend, my niece held her hand out like this with a handful of bubbles, and I lit the bubbles in her hand. Wow. And the stack was about like that, so.
Golly.
Kind of.
Crazy. So you got some talent, huh?
I don't know about an apple on the head, though. I wouldn't recommend that. But
how about an apple in the hand?
We could do that.
You do an apple?
Because I got a suture kit, too, you know.
Yeah.
You can't fix the head.
Yeah.
Am I hot? I feel like I sound a little different.
Maybe your headphones are higher.
So for the viewers and listeners, could you introduce yourself and kind of tell us what you do? We kind of brought you on because you're very interesting. So if you would.
Thank you. Hey, my name's Brett Baker, and I'm from Creepy Hollow Haunted House. And I've been doing the haunted house thing for 20 years. And we're getting a lot of good recognition these days. Being part of the haunted house is a series of passions. So my passions include special effects, makeup, animation, scenic design, actor training. But the main thing that I do now is freak show. So I'm a freak show clown, and I'm just following that passion right now. Our whole family out at Creepy Hollow is a crew of people following passions and reaching self-actualization, exploring who they are and expressing themselves in a very definite way. And so, so I perform in the freak show. My favorite things to do are knife throwing and fire performance.
I always knew there's something more to Creepy Hollow. I live right by it. I've ran by it at night and got a little scared running by it because it's exactly that. It's creepy. But there's more to it. I mean, you're kind of open year round doing things, and is it Halloween in your head all day, or what is it?
Yeah, Halloween is the origin of it, but the whole thing kind of grows on you. It's a lifestyle. So yeah, we're open every Halloween season from late September through the first weekend in November. Every Friday the 13th. We've done some Valentine's days that went pretty good. We kind of had to kank that during the pandemic because we put the couples in a tight space and feed them, and those rules got a little rough. But so there's a Friday the 13th coming up, actually, the 13th of this month.
Oh wow!
So on a Friday the 13th, we're open Friday and Saturday. So it's a really great chance to get the team back together and play, and also people who do what we do that don't open for Friday the 13th, it gives them a chance to come see another haunted house, so it gives us a chance for the true enthusiasts that really love it and to get a chance to see someone else.
I like how you do multiple days. It's somehow haunted houses just stick to the Halloween. I like how it's like, is it like Bloody Valentine? Is that kind of the theme of Valentine?
Yeah, I would say like a creepy Valentine. Yeah, but we've done bloody. We've done a lot of different ways of looking at it.
It seems like y'all are open a lot, though. I see a lot of cars there. Do y'all have private events and stuff? Right.
So our staff gets together, and we're a big family. So there's maybe 150 of us a night when we're open, and we like each other, and we like to hang out. So we put on big parties for our staff. Like we do crawfish boils, which you probably saw last weekend. We do a big party for 4th of July, and we just throw several huge parties for our staff there outside of, and then there's a lot of people who come and do shoot movies and things like that. So you might see smaller crews there that are shooting movies or rock videos, things like that.
Weren't they looking for somebody that was escaping the police, or recently there was like a car chase and someone?
No, that's a really sad story. If you're bringing up what I think, there was a young girl that was missing.
Yes,
and they were trying to find her, and the person that did it, his car was seen in the driveway to our place, right in front of our parking lot. And so that was reported. So the police were trying to find that young girl's body. So they talked to us about it, and we said, "Yeah, we'll open everything up. You can come look." And they came and they looked, and they were mainly checking the woods next to us. But we fully supported them to make sure they could find all that. It turned out that where that guy dumped the body was in another state, so he didn't dump it out there. But
yeah, I've seen film crews out there before, and TV news out there before. So
yeah,
do y'all have like a chainsaw guy running around too?
There might be chainsaw. That's a good idea. Yeah, chainsaw is a great idea.
So I'm sure it's there.
What is so? Is there anything that sets you aside from traditional haunted houses? Like, what does your team look like? I mean, how many people are like working this thing?
Like I said, we have a staff that approaches like 150 people a night. When we're open, somewhere 120, 150. But that's doing everything. I mean, from the parking lot to, we have 3 different haunted houses. We have the 288 Scare Factory, which is a mobile viral genetic research facility of Nuvagenesis Corporation, located on the property to study the ample population of feral hogs. After we lost our permit in that unfortunate incident for working on human test subjects, but then we got it all cleaned up. There's been a little industrial accident. We got it cleaned up. We think it's safe for you to come through on the tour. It's basically ground zero of the zombie apocalypse, you know. Think Resident Evil meets Lost. Not either one of those things, but inspired, you know.
Wow, there's a lot of thought putting into that.
Decomposition of, you know.
So that's one of them, right?
That's the 288 Scare Factory.
Okay.
Now, that's our oldest haunted house, and it actually is a mobile facility. We've moved it from one location to another, and we've even expanded it to be a 2-story facility now. So, yeah, that's the 288 Scare Factory. Then we have Pitch Black. Pitch Black is a 3D clownscape where you wear 3D glasses, and all the artwork in there is amazing. In and of itself, it'd be fun to go through just to look at the artwork, but that's not all there is. There are inhabitants, obviously. So this was a troupe of circus performers that were down on their luck, and they signed on for a study with Nuvagenesis Corporation. They did some modification to them for, you know, survival in dark environments and stuff. And they were studying cultophobia, you know, the fear of clowns. And so, but some things went a little wrong, and they didn't really read the fine print in their contract. They're never leaving. They're just kind of trapped in there.
Are you coming up with these stories? Like these?
This is it. This is the thing, you know?
Yeah. That's a very creative of you to do.
Yeah. So, and then we have the Dark Woods. The Dark Woods. When we first bought this property, right? And by the way, the name Creepy Hollow didn't come until after we bought the property. We were there, and we felt the feel that it was just like a creepy place in the middle of nowhere, just where you felt like you could really disappear. Well, it turns out all up and down this road, there's vagrants. You know this, right? Mm-hmm. And they live off the grid, and they'll just like take junk and build a house, and they can tie into the power on a power line. Well, this particular group of vagrants in this area, you know, they kind of had a hard time making it, finding stuff to eat, and you know, every now and then people would turn and drive down this road, you know, just to check it out, curiosity really, and they'd disappear. So they would pretty much take the people, eat them, strip down their car, sell the parts, and you know, and so they started off not very nice in the first place. But when the Scare Factory was located on the property, Nuvagenesis Corporation, they hired the caretaker, who was the father of this group of people out in the woods, and they gave him the job of you know, cleanup and disposal of biocontaminants. Well, he didn't have a real strong work ethic, and he dumped most of it in the woods. Vis-a-vis the animals ate it, vis-a-vis the people out there, because they eat the possums and the cats and, you know, the people and whatever they can get a hold of. And it just started to twist them in a dark and demented way. They didn't go full-on zombie, but they became a little bit different kind of hillbilly, you know, cannibal family.
You're scaring the shit out of me.
Do you work with movies?
So
we've
done some movies out at Creepy Hollow. We do a lot of rock videos. We were part of a production of a Star Wars movie. Now this was a fan film. So we met these guys at Comic Palooza here in Houston, and that's the one in Houston, right? Comic Palooza.
I'm not sure.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So, yeah, so they were making a Star Wars movie, and we were making it out there. They didn't get to finish their production though, but it was pretty cool. It's called Lost Horizons. I played a Sith Lord in that used a lightsaber that was on a long rope called a rope dart. I don't know if you've ever seen a rope dart. You play Mortal Kombat, and Scorpion shoots that thing, and then he says, "Get over here." Right. Well, I'm a kung fu artist, so 5th degree black belt in kung fu, and so any way I can fuse my fire show with martial arts, it makes me really happy. So, rope dart is one of my passions, and so I was a rope dart wielding Sith Lord. I wish the movie would have came out because it was awesome. It was a lot of fun to make, but they didn't finish it.
Are you helping them do makeup and the creative design and all that?
Yeah. So I did. We did makeup. So we made some Zabaraks, which is what Darth Maul was with the horns on the head, and we created a really cool Zabarak for this for them. And then my character, he was a Zabarak too. I made my own custom sculpt and created in 2-part silicone, my whole headpiece and everything for that character.
Wow, you do silicone and all that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see some of that work. Do you have some of that work?
I can show you that.
Do you have it where can people find some of that stuff?
We just in images of stuff that we do.
Yeah. Have you ever worked with like the college for their theater and anything like that?
Yep. We've I've taken classes with the theater, with their life casting class when they were doing stuff, and we helped the high school. In fact, we have a lot of high school students that we work with their programs.
Yep.
There's a lot of clown influence. Is there any insane clown posse influence in there?
So I'm a sideshow clown, okay, but that wasn't always the case, and that happened because I was inspired by just a crazy, awesome mother trucker. His name is Scabs the Clown, and he's a performer here in the Houston area. He does shows all over the place, all the time, all year round. But he happens to be the head of the Creepyhollow Freak Show. So I'm an owner out there, but I'm his apprentice, and he's my sideshow master, Scabs the Clown. So, yeah, Scabs eats fire. He walks on glass and, juggles sharp, pointy objects, and it's just generally disgusting and impressive.
I feel like the definition of a clown is way different in your eyes. I mean, what does it take? In order to be a journeyman of a clown?
Okay.
What do you have to have?
So the caveat here is that he's a sideshow performer. And so I'm learning from him how to do sideshow, which is different than being a regular clown. And I love classic clowning. Just, so the idea of a clown is that did you know there's a whole philosophy to clowning?
No, I need to know this now.
Okay, so the idea of clown theory, okay, is that there's a problem and then you have to solve the problem. But you're not going to solve the problem the way that a normal person does. You're going to solve the problem in an atypical way. So instead of sitting directly down in the chair, maybe you walk around the chair, maybe you fall over the back of the chair with your feet up, maybe you get in the chair with your knees, but you're not going to do what the normal person does to solve the problem. As a result of the way you solve the problem, now you're going to have to solve another problem. And then there's skills that are involved that often have to do with juggling and prestidigitation and different stuff like that, and so then you can use clowning skills to solve your problem, and it creates for an interesting, show. And then it's just physical comedy, and it's been around a long time, and it's a classic art form. So I love actual clowning.
Did
Really?
that come from jesters like back in the day? Is that a form?
So the court jesters were some of the most powerful people in the court because they were some of the only people who could say that the emperor had no clothes on. And so, then it goes way back.
That goes into that whole Rogan.
Clowns have been around a long time.
Being that comedians should still have full range to say what
Absolutely
able to.
They should. Absolutely they should. Nobody should be shutting down Dave Chappelle, right?
I love Dave Chappelle. What's your
Thought
thought that was
duty
Max.
calls.
Booty calls or duty calls?
It's Aurora, Ohio. They're trying to get my Medicare.
Trying to find the clown.
Don't let them do that to you.
Yeah, they're trying to put me on Medicare.
What's your
Shut 'em down.
favorite horror movie that inspired all this? Or I guess when growing up, what got you into this?
I'm actually a comedy and action guy myself. My,
Never watched scary movies.
Yeah, I'm not really a horror guy.
yeah, no, I'm a comedy and action guy myself. But once I started, so what got me started doing this was my wife made me decorate my yard, and kind of when I do things, I go a little bit overboard. So next thing you know, there's a corpse hanging from the front tree, and I'm jumping out of the bushes with a chainsaw dressed as a werewolf, and there's trick-or-treaters running left and right. And it was fun when the teenagers came around, okay? But I didn't really want to traumatize too many Power Rangers and Pixie Fairies. So I was like, hey, I need more teenagers. Where can I find more teenagers? So I started doing it for the city of Lake Jackson. For free and just giving the money to charity. And we still raise money for charity today. It's not all just charity. It's a for-profit business. We give a portion of our proceeds to charity now because you can't work on something year-round, own the property, and put this much time into it without it, having some kind of personal interest in it. But, yeah, we still donate a lot of money to charity.
That's great, man.
Our goal is someday to be able to make $50,000 a year for charity. We still haven't gotten to that, but we're in the 40s.
Wow.
In the last year. So,
what charity do y'all support, or is it always something different?
Yeah, so there's a whole panel of charities. So we like worthy local charities, and so that are lean. So there's a home delivered meals out of Freeport, and it's entirely run by volunteers. Those volunteers pick up the food. They take it to the people's homes. They use their gas. They use their little heater bags to do it. If the people can't afford the food, then they can give it to them, and that's what our money goes to buy food for people who can't get out of their house.
Wow.
Okay, if they can't afford it, but they still kind of need some help, they can get it on a sliding scale, and some people can afford it, and then, that's not even what happens with them. It's a really good charity. So the board of directors, the volunteers, nobody takes any money from that. All the money that we give them goes directly to food. The food's prepared by the hospital for free in Brazosport.
It sounds like you're pretty passionate about that. Have you always been into charity work, or did someone inspire you?
So I was heavy into my Kung Fu school when I did the first haunted houses. And we had a fundraiser for St. Jude's. And St. Jude's is on the eastern seaboard. And everything we raised went to the eastern seaboard. And there was a guy in town called Frank Grady. He's not here anymore, very successful ophthalmologist. And Frank told me, he said, I'll support your activity whenever you're supporting local charity. Because, you want someone to benefit from it. So he's the one who got me on the Worthy Local Charity thing. And the first charity we did with the haunted house was the Brazoria County Youth Home. And everything that I made at the rec center in a big pile of cash, I handed directly to the youth home. We never 100%. Here's your pile of cash that came in from it, and that's just what we did. And we did that for years. The youth home ended up changing management, and some things changed about the way it was going there. We still like to help the kids whenever we get a chance.
That's so awesome. I like that.
That's great, man. That food pantry, it's a food pantry too, right? People can go to
Okay, so there's food pantries. So there's several food pantries in the area, and we support several food pantries in the area with contributions as well.
I know there's one out of Freeport that a bunch of people from Dow are on the board of, and is it the same one, or is that different?
Well, there's some in Freeport, some in Lake Jackson. There's three. I think there's three that we contribute to.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
I had no idea that you were involved in that.
Yeah, well, the one in Clute is really cool because they actually have a garden, and people volunteer in their garden, and they grow fresh vegetables. So they literally have fresh grown vegetables by the pantry that they're giving to the people. Wow. So that's a really cool mission that they have.
No way. There's all kinds of stuff to get involved in.
Yeah.
How do you get involved in stuff like that?
Well, it depends on what you want to do. But that's a brilliant segue. As part of the haunted house, and a big portion of what we've done with the haunted house, as we've been growing, is we work with the Lions Club International. So I'm a Lion. I joined the Lions Club. The Lions worked with us on the haunted house, and I was impressed with them. So I supported them by joining their club. Lake Jackson Lions Club is our Lions Club that we're associated with. And there's a lot of volunteer opportunities that way. And in fact, today we're building a ramp for a handicap ramp. And so people who can't get in and out of their house and they can't afford, to get their own, contractors come in and build them a ramp. We come in as a crew and build them a ramp.
Is that
this particular project is a group of Christian construction workers that are doing it. They helped us on a few of our ramps. Really good guys, and so we're coming to help them on this one.
Have you heard of the Lions Club?
That was my next question. I always see signs and I see stickers on the back of cars, but I have no clue.
My parents used to own a restaurant when I was growing up, and the Lions Club members would always meet there every Sunday after church and have a meeting. I never knew what was their mission, what do they do.
So Lions Club International is the world's largest service organization. So what we do is we serve the community in ways that we can help. Now, we have some specific missions like vision. Helen Keller tasked Lions to be, knights in the battle against blindness. Anytime there's a corneal lens eye bank, usually the Lions had something to do with creating it and help support it. But they're also run by university institutions and stuff, so we're big into that. Glasses. We give eyeglasses to school children and also other people that need glasses. So Crystal Crafters is another really great organization that we work with. The money that we give them is so efficiently goes into glasses for people that need them. They make them all themselves there with the equipment. They have an ophthalmologist. They do eye exams with Dr. Pruitt. It's a wonderful organization. And so before we worked with Crystal Crafters, it would cost us about $350 to get one person glasses. And with the fundraisers we had back then, before we were doing the haunted house stuff, we'd hammer out about 6 pairs of glasses in a year. Now we have a much more money in our coffer to help, and it only costs us about $20 or $30 because of the work that Crystal Crafter does. So we buy them equipment to keep them functioning. We help pay their rent from time to time to help keep them running, to support other organizations that believe, what we believe, this mission of vision. Also, we have these eye testers machines. Like, it's a machine, then you're like, hey, kid, look into the light. Look into the light, Carol Ann. Why am I looking into the light, Mommy? So we can tell you need glasses. Okay, next kid. Right. So, and we have lines that actually go to schools and screen large numbers of kids. Strange thing, usually they find about 20 or 30% of kids that need glasses that didn't know it. And it helps them, to do better in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think there's so much emphasis on eyeglasses?
Vision. I think we just, I think Helen Keller just impacted us on and really made us feel it. Sometimes there's someone that's really influential that changes the world with the way they do things. And I think that really affected Lions. So, so we have several missions like that we do.
Are Lions associated at all with Masons? They come up at the same time?
No, the Masons is another club. This is Fraternal Order of Masons. They have a whole society behind what they do. I would tell you about it, but I don't know about it. So
you're not in it.
I know they do charity work too, though.
Yeah, they do. And then there's also there's a lot of different clubs too.
Yeah. I never understood that. If they're like, you told me what Lions Club is, what the organization does, but you talk to a Freemason, they can't tell you what they do.
Yeah,
they can't talk about it. I guess that's.
But I can tell you that they have to study a lot. Like they have to study the entire history of the Mason organization. There's a lot that they learn to get that honor, and there's a lot of powerful, influential people that are part of that organization.
Yeah. I've heard there's you get knighted too. I feel like you mentioned knighting too. Is that? Did you not mention that too?
I didn't hear him say
no, I used to fight in plate armor in the Society for
Well, that works.
Sure.
Well, that works.
Give me something.
I wasn't even a squire or a knight, but my favorite knighting that just happened, I don't know if we can segue there in this, is Vladimir Zelensky.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yep.
He spoke to the British Parliament, and they basically said, if you live through this, we want you to come here, and we're going to knight you. I'm getting a damn tear.
Yeah, pretty intense.
Yeah. So one of the things I sent you that film is I've really been impacted by just the love of my life. She's Ukrainian, and we've just been watching this all so closely. And also, I'm a combat medic, so I was in the Navy. And I was a combat medic there, paramedic, for the city of Lake Jackson for a while. And I work in orthopedic surgery is my day job. I won't say for what company, so it's not associated, with my other activities. But anyway, so this whole Ukraine situation, I did an art piece, and part of what we do in the freak show, I do the knife throwing, and we do other stuff, human blockhead, all kinds of different classic sideshow acts. But I'm into the fire performance, and there's an event that I just went to last weekend. It's called Flow Storm. It happens once a year, where flow artists from all over the country, come together and train. And it was so well orchestrated. It's almost like a huge corporate event, but with a really tight family vibe to it, so that there's 6 different tracks of classes going on over 9 hours over 3 days, and so I've been going to that. This was my 4th year, and I've always wanted to perform in the Flow Case, which is a showcase they put on, and I finally got to do it this weekend. And I did my knife throwing act. I did it with my niece. Bastet is her performing name. And the knife throwing part went well, but then since it's a fire group, I forged it into a fire act. So she had her hand out, and I threw a knife and lit some bubbles infused with propane in her hand, and her hand catches fire, and she works it out. And then she took a balloon the size of her head, and it was next to her head, and so she had to wear a hood that was made of cotton, so that in case it caught fire, it wouldn't melt to her flesh. And we pulled that to the front, and she's got her head right there. And I threw the knife, and it flies through the air. And right before it hits to the balloon, she drops to the ground. It hits the balloon, and it explodes. And it goes down and just touches the top of her head as it spreads out in a little fire cloud. Yeah. So then it's
golly.
Yeah. So then the next thing we did was we took the same size balloon, and we put it in her mouth. It's called the Sideshow Kiss. She put that balloon right in her sweet little clown lips. She put him right up there on the board. And I lit the knife. And I threw the knife, and it flies through the air. And it hits the board, and it sticks. But it didn't hit the balloon. It was just right next to the balloon. Then she took the balloon, and she kissed the blade. And when she did, the balloon exploded, and glitter dropped down.
Were you trying to hit the balloon?
I was, but she normally when I do this,
when I'm on,
normally when I do this, it's a series of knife throws. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. You walk it over and you just catch the tip of the balloon. She wasn't all the way, on the board because the whole thing's a little nerve wracking. But it worked out well because when she touched the flaming blade to the balloon, then the thing happened. And that's another way you can do fire balloon. When it's lit, is you can indirectly explode the balloon. Like I can throw the knife below the balloon, and then there's a dramatic pause as the blade is licking the balloon, and then it's like a delay, right?
Yeah.
I can throw the knife over the balloon, stuck on the board. It's there. Oh, then I take another knife, I pop the balloon, fireball. So there's different indirect ways you can do it.
So you're legitimately throwing the knives. The knives are not connected to any kind of...
No, this is not the magician that
it pops out of the board.
I'm the magician, and I'm going to show you how magic tricks work. If you look in the back, there's a guy with a rubber band. There's a slot, you see, and you take the knife and you palm it, and you stick it in your cloak, and then something pops out of the back of the board. No, you can see it flying through the air. You can see it stick. And every now and then they don't stick and they hit the ground and they make a clanging sound. And that's how you know it's not coming out of the back of the board.
Are you making these knives homemade or are you buying them?
No, I use a cold steel SureFlight Sport. And one of these days I'm going to get sponsored by them because I keep telling everybody that.
So if you're listening.
Yeah, Cold Steel. Yeah. Where's my sponsorship?
They're pretty solid knives, kind of like at Renfest.
Yeah, well, okay, so it is 12 inches of 1055 case hardened steel.
Wow. And how old is your assistant?
So my niece is, I think she's 24.
Oh man, I was imagining this like little 14-year-old girl. I was like, man, she's really brave.
But she is really brave.
Yeah,
and she's just one of the greatest people ever.
So she has the
trust you. She has the sweetest heart. Of course she does.
Yeah.
Nobody's your target girl that doesn't trust you.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a
I've never hit somebody directly with a knife, but what can happen is that if the knife doesn't stick, it can bounce and you can get side slapped. And those suck.
The stick? Or it just slaps you?
So if it hits the ground, if it hits the board, and then it bounces back, the side of the blade can touch you, it can give you a little smack.
The side of the blade shouldn't be real sharp. It's more of the point, right?
No, but let me take something made out of steel and smack you with it and see what you think about that.
I was going to ask you that after the show.
So that's the risk. The other thing is a risk. It could happen. Anytime you see a live knife throwing act, that could be the day that someone gets stuck. It's always possible.
Is it a traditional knife and that it has a blade on it, or is it just a point? You cut.
Like is it double edged to a point?
Yeah, it's a double edge to a point.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I mean, do you do stars too? Do you do all
I have stars,
the whole thing?
So when I was a teenager, I thought I was a ninja. And, I'd jump up and grab the roof and climb and go running, jumping. And I had throwing knives and throwing stars. And that's what started me on the journey of throwing stuff. This is my teenage ninja fetish. But then when I was older and then I had a family and my children were young, I wanted to carry on some of my traditions. So I got throwing knives and a big stump, and I taught my children from the time they were very little how to throw knives. And so we would, as a family, we'd go out on the patio and throw knives. And then one day I was at a big LARPing event, live action role play. It's just called Spring War. And there's probably 400 people on a battlefield, fighting. And they had a sideshow come in and perform for them. And the sideshow performer did a knife throwing act, and I was like, hey, I could do that. It's a lot harder than I thought just watching that. But I started training, and with my experience from my youth and with my kids, I trained for a year, and then I still did not feel safe doing it. And I told the person I was going to do it with, let's give it another year. And I trained for another year. And then we were like, I think we're ready to get started on this. So I've been doing it for about 5 years now, the knife throwing act.
That's crazy. That's why I asked you in our messages if you ever went to Renaissance Festival, because that's like right up your alley, and you could set up they set up the the campsites. It's you're part of a group. What's the group called? Clan. So you could set up like a clan and have all that set up and put on your own little shows, because that's what they do out there. Fire shows, all kinds of stuff.
So I used to perform in the Renaissance Festival for the Society for Creative Anachronisms, and I would fight on the mound in heavy armor. And so I would go every weekend, and then every hour we'd suit up and walk over there in our armor and fight. And that was not staged fighting. That was just like watching a boxing match, because they were actually real fights in that we were fighting by rules, and they were real encounters. So, you got hit in the leg, you lose your leg. You get hit in the arm, you lose your arm. You get hit in the head or the chest, then you lose your body. And no one's going to call a light shot. So these are some pretty heavy clubs that we're swinging, and you come out of there with bruises and stuff. And it was a lot of fun.
That's pretty intense. That's the same as LARPing, right?
So LARPing, you could consider it a form of LARP, okay? But this is a more heavy form and more refined form. So, but the LARPing that I was in at Spring War is called Amped Guard, okay? And there you have foam weapons. They have armor, but it's not the same. Like you can't fight the other stuff unless you have a steel helmet, at least 16 gauge, steel kneecaps, steel elbow caps, a cup, because otherwise, you're going to get hurt. Yeah.
Did you win at all?
In what? In LARPing?
Well, yeah, the one at Renaissance.
Well, I mean, I'm sure I won some stuff, but for the most part, I was just an unbelted fighter. I just loved doing it. So, people don't realize in those worlds that there are people that are actually extremely good at what they do. It's not just BS. I mean, there's a lot of fighters that are not belted, and then there's knights, and then the knights choose squires, and even just the squires are just amazing fighters. Like one of those guys gets up, he'll take down 13 people. And if it's a knight, they go, oh, well, there's only one of him and there's 20 of them, and they go, yeah, that's not fair.
No way.
That's crazy.
Yeah, some of them. So
you're actually the third person I've met that has done that, and I don't know why. I actually found out my realtor does it. Like I was like, what the heck? There's not many people that will go and suit up and go fight.
Yeah, so I could really understand, like in the days of old when someone was a king by right in battle, but they weren't all. There's bloodline, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, those you always see in the movies the guys that were kings or soon to be kings. They're always a badass at fighting, right?
I guess they were raised for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do a lot of shit.
I do a lot of shit.
A lot. Like, I don't know how you have any time to do anything.
Well, I've done different things at different eras, right?
Yeah. It sounds like you had a couple lives you've lived.
I've lived several lives. I think you know my son, huh? Did y'all know my son? Is that how I got a hold of you?
No.
Anyway.
What was his name?
Seth?
I'll have to look him up.
Anyway.
I might know him.
Yeah. Anyway, I was a soccer coach. I used to be a scuba dive master, all kinds of stuff.
Jeez.
Dang, dude.
Now I kind of understand the haunted ambulance, though.
Yeah.
Because you did paramedics.
Right. That's one of the reasons. And also I was looking for the biggest thing to put a wrap job on.
Oh, okay.
So I found that. But the ambulance speaks to me from my my medic history.
Yeah. And you drive that around just normal time periods, right?
Yeah.
I think I've seen it at the gas station.
Yeah, I drive it as much as I can.
Yeah. Do you have to dress up to drive it? It's kind of
No, you don't have to.
No, not a prerequisite?
No.
Okay. It's like seeing Santa Claus, I think, right?
I know, yeah. People are like, hey, man, can I get some passes?
Can I get some passes?
Please.
Yeah.
So with that, the way the world is now, I imagine it's really hard for a haunted house. The way that everybody gets offended and wants to raise a fuss.
Right. So, now that you bring that up and you were talking about my truck, I did have someone get offended that affects some places I can take my truck. And, it's one person getting an offense and they don't even know what that truck represents. This truck represents an organization that in the last year raised $43,000 for local charities, Yeah. And they're like, I don't like it because it's got a monster on it and there's a clown and that clown's making an ugly face.
I like those voices.
I don't like, even when you have the haunted houses, like y'all are being too aggressive or
once you're there, you're in our world.
Yeah.
So we know how to behave in public. So if you see us at a public event, we behave very well. We give them plenty of meds, shoot them up with the ketamine, whatever it takes to keep them zoned out,
Yeah.
But once you walk into our house, it's on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have all kinds of people crying out of there, huh?
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No big deal.
You ever had anyone like call the cops or file a complaint or?
Got to, man.
Okay.
You got to.
Okay. So, I can let you in on this because it's not a thing that's happening anymore. So we've had multiple locations, right? So at first I was with the rec center in Lake Jackson. I did that for a few years, and then I came and we were in a warehouse location, and we were at this warehouse location. We had an actress who's a very good actress, and her and her boyfriend would just stand in line with the customers. And then as they went through, something would happen, and her boyfriend would be taken, like violently taken from the crowd. But he was one of ours, so we could violently take him. and he would disappear, and she would just be distraught. And then she would be talking to everybody about, where's my boyfriend? Oh, no. I can't find my boyfriend. They took him. Where's my boyfriend? She was so effective at it that the county police were called. And the county police showed up. Now, luckily, the whole time that we were building, they'd come by every so often and say, hey, what you guys doing? Hey, come take a look. And so they pulled up, and I was like, okay, guys, I'm sorry that y'all got called, but here's the deal. I let them in on it, and I was like, now, do you want to play? Hell yeah, we do. So they came in. They came in, furthered the investigation, for the crowd, and it was really good.
No way.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
that's so smart to have people in on it.
Yeah, actually, my first haunted house, there was we had something called Mutant Madness in the playground of the rec center in Lake Jackson. And there was a zombie apocalypse thing going on out there. But the Lake Jackson Fire Department was part of putting on the haunted house with me, because I was a former paramedic and that was part of my crew back then, my peeps. And so that actually the fire department, responded with a stretcher with the Lake Jackson Fire Department ambulance, and they went in and pulled out a body, and the leg flops out. That's all mutilated as they're coming out, in the rec center.
That's good.
You go far, man.
Yeah, no,
you do it right, I guess.
I guess so. So the best thing about the haunted house, though, is the family. The family is the haunted house. So we have a lot of people who love this as much as I do. Or, they love it more than I do. They're way into what they do, and we just got a great crew.
Y'all do new ideas every year, or is it y'all kind of stick to one structure?
We're always working on stuff, trying to figure out. And the main thing, too, about the way we do it is we try to hit on all points of the show. So we try. So there's 3 different haunted houses, right? We have a World of Oddities for classic P.T. Barnum, the Fiji Mermaid, and the Chupacabras in there. There's all sorts of stuff in there, a little alien. And then, we do 3 different shows on the property outside, inspired by like Renfest style. So there's my show, the Freak Show that I'm in. And that show does 4 different shows a night. They're not the same. So we do the classic side show, the sharp and pointy show. Everything in that show is sharp and or pointy. The fire show. Everything in that show is on fire. And then the extreme sideshow, where there's extreme sideshow acts that you're not really going to see anywhere else, that are signature acts that mainly my more senior performers do, that are pretty intense, although I might add some of that stuff I just started doing to it. So, and then we have aerialist performers on the front property, doing aerial stuff, silks, poles, lyra. And then we have other fire performers that are constantly going on another part of the property. So we have 3 different stages of shows outside of 3 different haunted houses. There's also a World of Oddities. I mean the Voodoo Lounge, and the Voodoo Lounge is a dance club, so you can kind of cleanse your palate, because you can't stay up and intense the whole time. Your adrenaline's all tapped out. So get in there, work the pole, go up against our house dancers, which are a crew. We got a serious crew of house dancers that will dance with the best of them, a dance crew style in competition. So you can go up against our dancers and see, and then, once your palate's cleansed, you go into another haunted house. Okay, yeah.
Golly, there's a lot of thought put into this.
Yeah. So we have psychics on site. There's an escape room that's not usually during the haunted house, but that's also on site. We have gift shops, actually multiple, including 2 gift shops, then a T-shirt shop. We have it's a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
How big is the property? Because I didn't know it was this big, where you got 3 different shows.
It's several acres, and it's shaped like an iceberg. So, okay. What you see is the tip of the property, and it expands as it goes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I can totally see you doing, like, how kind of like Renfest has evolved. You making this multi-week weekend of just like a Halloween festival, like, and start it here, like, locally, and it'll grow like like Renfest, where you go, you bring your kids or whatever, and then you have this whole town set up, but it's all like spooky Halloween based.
Well, I mean, that's the whole idea, right? So we don't call it a haunted house; we call it a haunted attraction.
Yeah.
So Creepy Hollow is a haunted attraction
because you're more than just a haunted house. You're doing all these other things.
Right. And it's all part of entertaining the people. So it's about being entertaining.
Yeah. Because man, when Ren comes around, I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like I get the itch, and I want to go and walk around, and then go camping and all that. I could see like something growing here that morphs into something that doesn't exist right now. Like it doesn't. It's like that multi-month weekend where you're going and being something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, I love that.
That'd be so cool, and you have the manpower for it too. You have 150, 200 people that are devoted to this thing. It's like. It's awesome. You could do something like that.
How much inspiration do you take from Hollywood? It sounds like you don't like incorporate.
So we specifically do not use anybody else's copyrighted, trademarked characters. We make all original characters.
Yeah.
That's why like our and all of our characters have backstories and psychiatric traits, and we do character development. We have workshops with our people, but most of it comes from their twisted minds and hearts, so they're allowed to express themselves, and we find people that really like to express themselves.
Yeah.
How often are y'all meeting?
A lot of places don't let you do that, and so but we encourage and support it. What's that?
How often do y'all meet to like get on the same page? And
it varies, but we have different meetups throughout the year to keep it going, So we have our parties, and then we have our off-season openings, and then we have meetups where we just get together to do stuff together.
That's awesome.
What's the biggest character or the most popular character that you have at Creepy Hollow that everyone every year is like, hey, where's this person at?
We have a lot of really good characters. There's probably the most well-known character is Relic the Clown. And he's a big. We have a lot of our clowns and a lot of our characters stream too, so they have a large streaming presence. So you can look him up, Relic the Clown. And then we have it's a lot of different characters.
That's awesome.
Skeet the Clown.
Man, I feel
Willie Vodka.
Scabs too, right? That's your
Scabs the Clown.
Yeah. That's a good name.
When are you going to make a movie? I feel like you're writing a movie or something one day.
Well, there are things
in the works
that have happened, things that are happening. We have movies that we've made in-house that you can see, and there's stuff that I can't talk about that is pretty cool stuff going down.
Pretty exclusive, huh?
Teasing me, huh? You don't want to give us the deets?
Well, I can't yet.
Yeah,
you could.
You don't have to. You can just go like this.
All right. So you got to sign that.
Like that.
Yeah.
You so you have a film crew?
Yes. So we work with One Life Moment Studios that have done a lot of work with us. If you check out our YouTube page, you'll see some really, really good videos and stuff that we've done with them. So
that's great. How many subscribers you got on YouTube?
You know what? That's a question for my business partner. He can tell you that.
Tell you all that?
Yeah, he knows all that stuff. I'm just into burning stuff and throwing knives. And
I would have never guessed you did all that either.
So so we all like complement each other, and some people are stronger in some areas, and some people are stronger in others, and we all come together as a crew to make it happen.
That's good, man.
Yeah, you have a lot of talent. You'll have to that's what I was saying, like that whole weekend thing or whatever that thing is. You'll have enough to just be something bigger. It seems like.
Yeah. Well, I like it. I like the way we're doing it. So whatever that thing is, it'll be the thing we are. It's actually, as you can imagine, quite expanded from the beginning.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Are there plans to? Because you're way out here, away from a lot of people. Do you want to get towards Houston more?
No, we actually like this location because it's creepy as hell. But now. The people are all just coming and packing in around us, so we're going to be surrounded by a base of customers here pretty soon. So,
do you get people from different parts of the country coming in to experience it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've had people from both coasts fly in just to see us.
Holy cow.
We've had people fly from internationally to come see us.
That's awesome, dude.
You actually won a award recently, right?
Yes. So creepyhollow received the Oscar. So it's like Oscar of scaring from the Haunted House Association for professional haunted house. So there was a lot of different Oscars, but in the classification of professional haunted house, I only saw one, and that was the one we were given for the year. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
It's really good.
Did you have to go somewhere? Is that like an award?
Yeah. We went to St. Louis. And St. Louis is where they have the Trans World, which is a huge haunting convention. So we're Oscar recipients, and that's a really huge honor. That's awesome.
So you're well known in this world, huh?
Yeah. So we've been kind of ranked as scariest in Texas for many years, and there's different polls, and they put different people different places, but we're way up in the top of it, and we've been like in the top 13 in the United States, and then just this year we got this award that was very humbling to be given an Oscar by the Haunted House Association, and we really appreciate them. So going through the pandemic, not to bring you down, but we're coming out of it right now, which is pretty awesome. It's like it's always just going to be a creep up into the right direction, right? But
no pun intended, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Creepy creep.
What I have to ask you, and I'm sure you're aware of like conspiracy stories in Texas on haunted stuff. So
right.
What can you tell me about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Is that
Okay,
real? Is that a real thing that happened in Texas?
Yeah. So Ed Gein. What can I tell you about Ed Gein?
I guess that's his
Okay.
name.
So Ed. So that's a real story. Okay. But it wasn't a family of people with chainsaws. Okay. This was a guy who liked to take women's skin and make clothing out of it, and so he would dig up freshly buried corpses and take their skin and create a girl suit. Yeah.
Wow. So
this actually happened in Texas. Yes.
That was that inspired the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes.
So they just Hollywoodified it a little bit.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
See, I thought that the story was there was a family that owned a gas station that fed people, human sausage.
Well, that's pretty standard Texas, isn't it?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Got to check the source, I guess.
Yeah.
What's another story that that is common? I bring up Texas Chainsaw Massacre because of the movies, but
so you hear this story all the time about someone that's an actual psychotic person finding their way into the haunted house environment and then actually killing someone and placing them in the scene, and the people are coming by and they don't even know that that's a real person there. True story? I don't know. You be the judge.
Well, I'm not going to your fucking place.
No. That's a story that you hear if you're asking me about a common. Now, there's also a pretty interesting urban legend that occurs, and that is, I'll be talking to people and they say, "Yeah, I used to work at a haunted house," and I'm like, "Well, that's great," and then they'll tell me, "Well, it was a 13-story haunted house." Okay, this is the urban legend. I don't know why they tell me they work there, but whatever. So. Or they say, I went to a haunted house once, or I heard there was this haunted house. But I've heard people even get more first person with it, and I'm like, really? Because I'm feeling some smoke blowing in a weird place.
Yeah.
But I heard
I
heard there was this haunted house. It's 13 stories tall, and a lot of people played off of that. Some really good haunted houses include the 13 and the 13th floor, the 13th gate, the 13th story, But the urban legend to this thing is it's a 13-story tall old hotel, okay? And if you make it up to the top, they'll give you your money back. If you make it to the top, they'll give you your money back. Some people say if you get too scared, you can jump out the window, and they got some airbags for you to land on outside. And then so Yeah, but I've never found this place though.
Oh, but you've heard it from multiple people?
It's an urban legend. So if anybody ever is telling you that story, then, kind of get a little deeper into it, get down to the details with them, because I've never seen the actual place exist. I hope someone actually builds it someday. Good luck to them to find a 13-story building to make a haunted house in. But it's an urban legend.
I love those urban legend movies. The one that always gets me still to this day is when someone's driving and it's kind of at night, but their lights are off, and you flash their lights at them. You're not supposed to do that. Have you heard that one?
I think so. Tell me more about this.
Well, supposedly if you flash the lights at this person who doesn't have the lights on them or is driving without the lights off,
right,
they'll turn around and come chase you and kill you. So
it's pretty scary.
You haven't seen that movie, the urban legend movie where they
good luck running my truck off the road.
Yeah. Your truck maybe.
Yeah.
Not Mike's.
I'm sure you know more. We gotta. I want to get scared before we end this thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Give me some true ones though. Is there a scary place around Missouri County that's like haunted?
Okay. So, are you guys familiar with the ghosts along the Brazos?
Yeah. Is it a drunk guy that walks around?
No. So yeah.
The lantern.
Yeah. Yes, it is. So, Ghost Along the Brazos was written by, I think it's Mary Moody. And there's different hauntings in the Brazosport area. Now, just let's take this back in perspective. You remember the storm of 1900 that rolled through Galveston and flattened Galveston?
No.
Okay, well, in Galveston in like 1904, there was a huge hurricane, and most of the city was flattened. The entire orphanage killed, and it's just so many people died and homes collapsed, and just only very few places actually survived. They had the elevation for it. Well, that didn't just happen in Galveston. It was a big hurricane. It hit Missouri County. Do you ever wonder why you don't see tons of old plantation houses around? Why you don't see a bunch of big old houses here?
I guess not.
You don't see them, do you?
Because
they got wiped out. They got wiped out by that storm. So the paranormal activity in this area is actually quite high because of the amount of death and, destruction that happened with all that. Now, in the Ghosts Along the Brazos, they tell the story of Britt Bailey, which is actually kind of an interesting story. Britt Bailey was a contemporary of Stephen F. Austin, landowner in that time. They knew each other, and he was a bit of a jerk, and Britt Bailey wanted to be buried standing up. So I don't know if you've ever tried to dig that kind of a hole, but at that time they actually had slavery, and he also wanted to be buried with a bottle of whiskey. Okay, because he liked to drink, as you can imagine. So his slave was out there and dug the hole so that it would be a vertical grave. But while he was doing that, he got pretty thirsty, and he drank that whiskey and put the empty bottle in there. Well, Britt Bailey didn't take too kindly to that, and he came back as a poltergeist. So the poltergeist, which is like a glowing orb, was seen for a long time in Missouri County. And there are certain roads right out there in Bailey's Prairie where you could just have this orb like coming around, going through you, floating around. It could be seen. So yeah, there was the actual poltergeist in our area of Britt Bailey, and he was searching. He was searching for his bottle of whiskey. Yeah. So if you ever do see Britt Bailey coming, just give him some whiskey.
That's so funny.
Have you ever experienced paranormal stuff personally?
Okay. Wow. Cool. You're asking so many great questions. So maybe one of the things that twisted me into this existence is when I was a kid, my dad bought a used piece of property that was an old farmhouse. And the farmhouse was owned by a school teacher. And it had a big old farmhouse. There was like 3 stories, and then there was even like a 4th story that was an attic. And that house, the previous owner was very paranoid. So she had multiple locks on the front door, like the door lock, the deadbolt lock, the slide lock, the chain, all on her front door. Well, she died on her front porch on the other side of all those locks. And when we moved into the house, there was a big blood stain on the front porch. So she did not die gently. Someone completely, drained her blood contents on the front porch of this house that my dad bought on the cheap, by the way. He got a good price for this place.
On the cheap.
Yeah, he got this whole farm. We had a barn and
hell of a deal.
And a ghost.
Yeah. But in that, when I was 5, and I could feel her presence in the house. Now, it's not weird that I could feel her presence because this was an estate sale, so we got this house with all her stuff. So she was a teacher, so I had a lot of her teaching books and stuff like that I would, use as a kid, But yeah, I felt her presence there numerous times, and that's what my dad gets for buying that house, because I would leave my bedroom in the attic of this old farmhouse to come down and sleep with my parents on more than one occasion.
What specifically did you feel?
So I was 5, right? That was
Right.
a long time ago. I just remember, just like this cold, eerie feeling that when it would come across you, where all your hairs raise up on end, and you could tell that, something was there.
You're not alone.
Now, it could have been her, or could have been what killed her. Maybe she was killed by the house before we got there. I never really thought of that until now.
That reminds me of that movie. I forget what it's called now, but there's been a bunch of them where a family will move into a house that is obviously got something on. And
Amityville.
no, I don't know if Amityville Horror was a real movie. This one had to do with aliens, I think. But the kids, one of the kids would start sleepwalking, and then the parents would wake up, and everything in the kitchen was stacked on top of each other. Like the chairs would
Right.
be stacked.
That's poltergeist.
That's poltergeist?
Yeah.
Well, it was...
No, that's a poltergeist.
Okay.
I'm not saying, yeah.
Well, one of those kids were abducted, and it was a movie based on a true story, and the kid was never found. It was out of the house. The house was there was lights beaming inside the house. The parents were locked in the bedroom, and the kid just walked out of the room. We walked out of the room. That was the last time they ever seen him. You ever seen those stories with UFOs? No.
Walk into the light, Carol Ann.
It said based on a true story, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Loosely based.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No.
What do you think about the actual movie, The Poltergeist? They talk about most of the people that were in that movie passed away in some weird way. You've heard of that, right? No?
You guys got all the dirt.
No, man. We expect you to have all the answers.
Yeah.
What's the
I'm more
one?
of an action guy.
What's the action?
we heard that.
Are you all right? Let's settle this debate.
I didn't
right
believe
now.
that.
You're a comedy guy, right?
To a degree.
Okay. You know where I'm going with this,
Oh
right?
shit!
Uh-oh.
All
I haven't
right.
done this in a while.
Are you Adam Sandler comedy guy? Or hold on.
old.
Well, I'm not finished yet.
No. I've seen. I like probably almost everything he's made. So.
Do you prefer him or do you prefer Jerry Seinfeld?
Adam Sandler for sure.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
good.
podcast is done.
This guy wants everybody to like Seinfeld, and he will not watch Happy Gilmore or Billy
Really?
Madison.
Oh man, he's got so much good work. You should watch it all.
He just watches the older stuff or the newer stuff that's not as good, and he has to do those core movies.
I just saw this one that had who's the guy cruising in the 5.0?
Cruising down the street. Wait, cruising the 5.0.
Whatever. Ice.
Oh, Ice Cube. Ice Cube.
Ice. No, Ice.
Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice. Yeah, Vanilla Ice was in his last one. He was his best friend. It had such a twisted plot. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should see that one.
I forgot you're real theatrical, so you probably really appreciate how movies are constructed and all that, huh?
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah. I started looking at things differently now that I'm doing videography.
Right.
I'll look at where's the camera in this scene, or where's the audio? Like, where are they getting this from? How are the cameras not in the same? How are you not able to see the camera, or where are they at? It's or point of view, or how they shape the story.
Exactly.
It's so much to think about. But once you start looking at it, things start to make more sense.
How does the storyline connect and come back around? And
yeah, it's a real talent to do that. And I think people watch movies and they're just like, they think, I don't know. I think that's my opinion. When I used to watch them, I didn't put much thought in how they were constructed, but it's a real talent to think of all those things that have to come together to make a good movie.
Yeah, when it all comes together right, then you're like, and when it's not, it isn't, whether you analyzed it or not.
Pretty quick too, when a bad movie's happening. But
all right, man. Well, so when's the next big event happening?
So we're open Friday the 13th and Saturday the 14th this month of May. So we'll be out there. Everything running full tilt.
What are the hours when you're open?
We start at about dusk, and we run till like 11:30.
All right, man. Cool. You got social media and you do all that good stuff?
Oh, absolutely. So if you look at Creepy Hollow Haunted House, you'll find a lot of different performers that come off of Creepy Hollow. My particular Creepy Hollow performer page for Facebook is Creepy Hollow. At Creepy Hollow Chris P. Clown.
Chris P.
Yes. Chris P. Clown. The P stands for Pain-Proof Proboscis Probing Impalement Pyromaniac, but you can pretty much use any P that you want to. You could say, I'm phenomenal, or, wow, that was psychedelic. You could say, what a pussy. Why won't you do that? I'm like, Scabs will do that. I won't do that.
I like this guy, man.
Yeah. Pandemic, just whatever.
I can't keep up with him.
He's good.
I don't know if I have what it takes to hang out with him.
I can never tell if you're like bullshitting me or telling me the truth. So I think that's good.
Then we've come full circle.
I don't think he knows.
That's my initials, B.S. Baker. Yeah, my dad did that on purpose. So.
Well, man, we had a good time with you, man. Thank you.
All right, hey, thanks
for coming on.
Thanks for having me in, fellas.
All right, man. Bye.